Hello everyone, and today we're going to talk about the current state of the housing market and some things that you might want to consider before you go out there looking to buy. Here we go. So you may know, if you've been paying attention to the news or hearing any articles that are coming out, is that the housing market is a little nuts right now. Now we are still, spring has sprung, we're in that time of year where things are starting to warm up. The housing market will start to warm up, meaning that there will be more homes start to be listing for sold as spring goes on, but summer is still like the main time for home buying and home selling. So right now, there's still not a lot of inventory out there on the market. There's not a lot of houses that are for sale. Now, why that matters is if you're looking to buy something right now, your options are going to be limited. And what comes out now is going to be highly sought after because people are still trying to buy. There's just not as many options, therefore there's still lots of offers being put on any one house. And that's where you get into bidding wars and people are offering above and beyond what they should for a home just because they want to buy a home or they need to buy a home and they're just trying to be competitive. I shot a video not that long ago about 2022 being a competition season for buyers. So if you're looking to buy a home, I highly recommend you watch that video. I'll put a link to it at the end of this one so you can get a refresher on it. But you have to be competitive if you want to buy a home in this market. But what I also wanted to give some advice on just some tools here. Now, depending on the market you're looking in, if you look on Zillow usually, or you can look on Trulia, or a lot of those websites that show houses that are for sale, they'll have a history on there of what that property sold for and when. Now what's really cool about that feature is that if you see a house that sold for $170,000 last year and they're trying to sell it right now for $500,000 because the demand is so high, you know that that's not a good deal. That they're basically just run the numbers up because they can. Now, there's not a lot you can do as a buyer to deal with stuff like that unless you decide to sit out and just wait for numbers to come down, because numbers have gone up so high that fewer and fewer and fewer buyers are actually going to be able to buy in the markets they want to buy in, which is going to force people to either rent in high rent areas or to move to other locations if their profession allows it, which can cause a lot of movement to go around. But what ultimately ends up happening is you have people that make pretty decent money moving to areas that have more affordable housing, and they're able to buy in that market. Whereas the people in that market who already might have been maxed out, now they don't really have anywhere to go. So you have this kind of pressure that's going to start moving people around, especially with more and more people being able to work from home. That reminded me that there was a property that my sister was actually looking at purchasing in Texas, and she actually showed me the property, and it was a nice property. It was on 5 acres of land. It had a work shed. It had a pond. I think it had a stream nearby. It was just a really nice piece of property and really nice land, and it literally had sold for like $180,000 like a year or 2 years ago, and they had it listed for over $500,000. So you could see that in certain markets they're really pumped up. And you think of a market like Texas, it's probably because, well, a lot of people are still leaving California and looking for places to purchase. Texas is still one of those main destinations. Pretty much the whole western coast has been filled up. Oregon and Washington were already saturated with Californians years ago, driving those prices up. But now you have places like in Idaho, like Boise, Idaho, you have the same thing is happening there. Tennessee is still kind of a big destination spot for people to move to that are trying to escape from those things. And then you have people coming out of like New York and those high-priced areas that are trying to find warmer places to go. Things like Florida. Not a whole lot of movement coming to where I live because it's a military town, so there's already a lot of coming and going just for military purposes. But people are moving all over the map. Now, as a buyer, if you're looking to buy in your market and you're trying to find something, you're going to run into competition. But I wanted to let you know that this is not yet the season. So if you want to be prepared before you get into the season, before more houses hit the market, you got to follow some things. One of those things is getting pre-approved ahead of time. Even if you're not looking to buy something for 3 or 4 months from now. 2, 3, 4 months, if you're in that range, go talk to your loan officer and get pre-approved now and know where you are, where you stand, and what your maximum is. And even better yet, get a conditional approval. So you as a buyer, I've already been reviewed by an underwriter and they like everything about you. Or they tell you, hey, you need to work on some stuff, whatever that might be. But if you get a conditional approval, then it's just based on getting an accepted offer on a property and then having it pass the appraisal and inspections, which it sounds like a lot still, but honestly, you as a buyer being reviewed by an underwriter, all of your information, you know, your pay stubs, W-2s, your bank statements, wherever your money's coming from, your situation. The sooner that is all reviewed by an underwriter, that means there's way less time in the process of buying that house. You can be more competitive with your offer. You can close faster. Usually you can close much faster if the seller is looking for that. That's another game that you and your agent are going to have to play. Are the sellers motivated to close as soon as possible? Are they looking for someone who can just throw cash on it and be done? Or are they looking to get the top price they can get? It depends on what their motivations are. So in these ways, it's good to have, you know, a good agent that you're working with that maybe even knows other agents. So if they know the listing agent, they can have an honest conversation with them and say, hey, what's the story with the sellers? You know, are they really motivated? What's going on? And it's not unfair to find that information out if the seller, if the listing agent is willing to share it. It's just good information to have. You may not be able to come in $50,000 above asking price or $100,000 over asking price. Most people can't, but some can, and they will if they're desperate to buy a house too. So that's kind of the market that we're in right now. It's still just spring. Don't get too concerned yet. As summer comes along, you're going to see more properties come on the market. Check those histories when you're looking on those websites. See what they sold for and see, is that worth it to you to get that house? So just things to be mindful of. So if you like this kind of content, please like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have any questions or anything that's popped up in your mind that you might think that other people might want to know in the market that you're looking in, please comment down below. Start a dialogue there and kind of show people, hey, this is not isolated. This is pretty much happening everywhere. So that's it for me. All right, take care. Peace.